I'm Amanda, and welcome to Self. On this podcast, I share ideas, experiences, and have conversations to explore the self. By developing our own self awareness, we can better show up for ourselves and those around us, and hopefully all live happier and healthier lives. On today's episode, I'm exploring this question of whether your best is enough. I think for most of my life, I was someone who had really high expectations, both for myself and for people around me. And that often meant that I would feel like I failed myself, or I feel like people would fail me. I would be really disappointed or let down or upset when people weren't meeting my expectations or when I wasn't meeting the expectations that I'd set for myself. And, I think this comes from growing up and being conditioned to believe that there was a big difference between doing your best and being the best, obviously. But the only acceptable thing for me was to be the best. It wasn't enough that I was trying. And even in the notion of trying, I would get a gauge of whether that amount of effort was enough. So honestly, I think I had set myself up somewhat for just to lose. It was a lose-lose situation, right? Either I had to be the best, and that was just one thing, which quite simply, it's unrealistic. I'm not going to be the best at everything. Or if I was failing to be the best, for me to try to be the best, I had to be the best at trying to be the best. So it's just this kind of ridiculousness, this expectation of being number one at everything, in everything, and even measuring my amount of effort. I had to be the one putting in the most amount of effort. And if you kind of extrapolate this into relationships and how I would apply that outside of myself, well, it meant that I also expected the best from everyone else around me. And sometimes that expectation perhaps wasn't communicated. Maybe in friendships, for instance, I might expect certain behavior. I might expect a certain amount of loyalty, or for that loyalty to look a certain way. I might have expected a certain amount of effort to also look a certain way. And so I was projecting these expectations that I had on those around me. And of course, you kind of take this out and you go, well, what does that look like in a relationship? And I absolutely applied the exact same thing. I applied this metric of having to be the best and put in an effort that I was measuring. I was gauging whether or not this amount of effort was enough, whether that effort was the best effort as well. Now, this is something that over time I've worked through, and it's only come from working through failure within myself, working through making mistakes within myself and being able to accept that. I think when we look at the actions of others and it's something that doesn't impact us, it can be easy to then step outside of that and go, oh yeah, they were just trying their best and see that. But what about when people have done something that has a significant impact on us, or maybe has hurt us, or maybe it's someone who we care about really deeply and we see them doing something that might even be hurting them and we don't want to see them hurting themselves. Something I realized is, as a person who loves the people around me, of course, that in order for me to really accept them as they are, to really be a good friend to them, to be a good supportive person in other people's lives, it's being able to accept that people genuinely and truly are just doing their best, even if the way that I see it isn't what I would deem the best. And it's this metric that we sometimes put on others, right? We go, well, if I was in that situation, what I would deem as doing my best would look like this. And because the person's not doing what I think what I would measure as the best, as doing their best, well, then they mustn't be. And something I realized for myself is that there have been multiple times, if I were to lay my life out on a map, this timeline, that at any point when I was making decisions, when I was doing stuff, whether it was for others or for myself, whether I was, studying or working or in relationship, I was, excuse me, I was just trying my best. I was genuinely just doing my best and what I was capable of at that point in time. The harshest thing that I could do for myself is to look back and go, well, I should have done better. I should have been better. When in reality, regardless, of how we want to measure this, the truth is everyone at any point in time is just doing their best and what they can. I have thought about this a lot more recently. As I think in this journey of me coming to know myself a lot more, having a lot more love, acceptance, and compassion for myself, I've really acknowledged that different decisions I've made, even if I can look back now and say, yeah, if I were to do that again today, I might make a different decision. Being able to look at my past self and say, hey, I really was just doing my best at that point in time. And it's okay. It's okay that doing my best maybe meant that I was making a mistake. Maybe doing my best was accepting less than what I deserved. Maybe doing my best was hurting someone at some point in time, even if I didn't mean to, or even if I did mean to, that at that point I was just doing my best. I think when we're really able to see that within ourselves, and that's where it really has to start, we can have this understanding for others and go, yeah, people are just trying their best. But to really understand that on a deep level where we can then fully live that experience of understanding people really are just doing their best, in order to really feel that, it has to start with us acknowledging and realizing that within ourselves. What I believe is when we're able to fully see that at any point in time, that's what we're doing, that we're just trying. Whether we gauge that effort as enough or not, the truth is that that is what we're doing. We're able to just give our best at any point in time, and sometimes it might look like more or less than what we deem is, appropriate. When we're able to accept that within ourselves and really see that, hey, I am just trying, and it's okay when I mess up. It's okay when I get it wrong. It's okay that I fail. It's okay that I succeed. It's okay that I make great decisions sometimes and other times I don't. When we are able to realize that within ourselves, we're able to realize that within others, and our capacity for compassion and understanding towards others increases. When I think about what it means to accept the best within myself and see it simply as I'm just trying and not measuring it against a final outcome, what that looks like in my life is that I'm a lot less harsh on myself. It means that I'm not constantly putting myself up against what is realistically an impossible standard all the time. It means that I'm able to accept myself as truly human, as being someone who's flawed, who makes mistakes. I'm able to see all sides of who I am and love her truly. Because that love doesn't come from me being able to achieve a certain outcome. It doesn't come when I'm the best and at my most successful, when I'm, what I might deem as the best version of myself. That's not the only time that I deserve love or deserve to show love to myself or deserve to love myself. It's all the other times. It's fully being able to see and accept myself for all the traits that I have, for all the decisions that I make, for all the mistakes and successes that I have in my life. And being able to let go of that impossible standard and expectation within myself has allowed me to let go of those expectations and the impossible standards that I put on other people, that I put on my partners, that I put on my parents, my siblings, my closest friends. And what I'm able to then do is step back and really see that, hey, even if my friends aren't as responsive as as much as I might be able to be, that they are just trying their best. If maybe my partner speaks to me a certain way that he wouldn't normally speak to me, he wouldn't normally speak to me in that way because he's stressed or tired or upset, that even in that moment, that's him just giving his best. Even if later he regrets it and, and he'll apologize, whatever, that he is just trying his best. That the person who may have bumped into you or been really rude to you, a complete stranger, that in that moment, maybe they were just doing their best. I understand that typically we're able to accept and deem something as, oh yeah, you were just trying your best, when we see people really put in effort and then fail, right? Like, it's easy in that moment to go, yeah, I can see all the effort that you've put in, but you didn't perhaps achieve what you wanted, because we see that picture of effort and we're projecting even our own picture of what effort looks like, and we say that's okay. So the challenge really is when people do something that we don't deem as doing the best that they can, or putting in a sufficient amount of effort, and actually being able to accept that as it is their best. And of course, intertwining this, like linking this back to ourselves in the moments when we don't as well. And as I said, being able to accept this allows us to really accept others completely as they are. And for me, that's something that has transformed the way that I exist within myself. I think it's given me a lot more peace, because I don't have this constant standard, this constant measure for myself. And in all honesty, like, if I did have that, I would probably always just feel like a failure, feel like I'm less than. And at the same time, I don't have that for those around me either. And that's not to say that you accept mistreatment or accept, have low standards or anything like that. What it really means is just being able to see people as they are, and then applying wisdom to that, and obviously then deciding how you set boundaries, whether you accept these people within your life, whether you keep them close to you or not. All of that still applies. It just means that we're able to see and accept, we're able to love ourselves properly, wholly and fully, and then we're able to really just see that, yes, my best is enough. Whatever my best is in any given moment, and even that, even the amount of effort that I put in doesn't have to be the best, right? It's just that I am at any point in time just trying, and that's okay. So I hope this little episode has given you something to think about. And if you, like me, are someone who sometimes has these ridiculous standards for yourself. And I say ridiculous in a very loving way. You know, I'm not saying that you are ridiculous for having these standards. I think it's extremely normal and common for all of us to have this within ourselves. I mean it in the sense of, you know, that we set ourselves up for something that's quite impossible and end up hurting ourselves sometimes by having those. So if you are someone who has these standards that can feel unrelenting, that feel impossible, that I hope you can take some time and allow yourself to understand and to acknowledge that you are just doing your best at any given point in time. And likewise, those around us, everyone else in the world, everyone's just doing their best too. And that's okay, and that's enough. So thank you for tuning in to today's episode. I am here every week. I am grateful that you listen, that you subscribe to the show if you're on YouTube. I appreciate any feedback, any comments that you have. Please like, please review the show on whatever medium you're listening or watching this on. You can follow the show on Instagram at self_podcast. You can follow me at Amanda Letran. That's Amanda_LETR. No, it's just Amanda Letran. Amanda LETRAN. Yeah, that's where I'm going with that. Oh, it's been a long couple of weeks, guys. I release episodes every Thursday, and I will see you next week. Thank you, and bye.